Admiral Yunwu stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Fleet headquarters, staring at the message that had arrived 3 hours ago. His coffee had gone cold in his hand. Outside the windows, Earth rotated peacefully below, unaware that everything was about to change. The message was simple. Too simple for what it meant. Submit or be destroyed. You have 72 hours. It came from the Valkyrie Dominion, the military arm of the Galactic Union. 300 massive warships sat at the edge of Earth's solar system, their weapons pointed at humanity's home. Each ship was 3 kilometers long. Each one carried enough firepower to burn a city to ash. Captain Nari walked into the room, her face pale. She carried a data pad with more information about the aliens. "Sir, the full demands just came through," she said. Hyun-woo took the pad and read. The Valkyrie wanted Earth to give up 90% of its military. They wanted humans to pay for something they called unauthorized expansion into space. They wanted Earth to accept alien governors who would make all important decisions. They wanted humanity to bow down and accept they were nothing special. "Have we responded yet?" Hyun-woo asked. "No, sir." President Taeyang called an emergency council meeting. "You're supposed to be there in 20 minutes. Hyun-woo nodded and looked back at the message. The Valkyrie commander who sent it had included a personal note. It said humans were primitive children playing with toys they don't understand. It said that 16 other alien species had received the same message over the past 1,000 years. All of them had surrendered within hours. The Valkyrie expected the same from Earth. The Admiral smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Children," he muttered. "They think we're children." 20 minutes later, Yunwu sat in the council chamber with Earth's most powerful leaders. President Taeyang sat at the head of the table, his face carved from stone. Ambassador Minji sat to his right, already preparing diplomatic responses. General Daeyun sat to his left, his military uniform perfect and pressed. "Options," President Taeyang said. "No greeting, no small talk." They didn't have time. Ambassador Minji spoke first. "We should negotiate. The Galactic Union has existed for 12,000 years. They have hundreds of member species. We've been in space for only 50 years. We can't fight them all. We can fight these ones," General Daeyun said, his voice hard. 300 ships sounds like a lot, but we have defenses. We have weapons they don't know about. We've been preparing for this since first contact." "Preparing for war with the entire galaxy?" Minji asked. "Even if we win this battle, they'll send more. Thousands more. We'll be fighting forever." "Then we fight forever," Taeyun said simply. President Taeyang raised his hand for silence. "Director Jinwoo, you've been quiet. What does Special Project suggest?" Director Jinwoo was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He ran Earth's most secret military programs, the ones that didn't officially exist. He leaned forward and folded his hands on the table. "I suggest we send them a warning," he said. "Just one. We show them exactly what they're threatening. We let them see who we really are. If they're smart, they'll leave. If they're not," he shrugged. "Then General Daeyun gets his war." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what Jinwoo meant. For 20 years, since humans first met aliens, Earth had been hiding its true strength. They played nice. They acted like grateful newcomers to the galactic community. They followed the rules and smiled and pretended to be weak. It was all a lie. "One warning," President Taeyang said slowly. "And if they don't listen? Then we show them why Earth doesn't need the Galactic Union's protection," Jinwoo said. "We show them what happens when you threaten a species that learned to split atoms before we even left our own planet." Captain Nari spoke up from her position against the wall. "Sir, the Intelligence Division has been monitoring Valkyrie communications. They're not taking us seriously. They think this will be easy. They're already celebrating their victory." "How many wars have the Valkyrie fought?" Yunwu asked. Nari checked her datapad. "In the past 1,000 years? 3 minor conflicts. Total casualties across all 3, 14,000 soldiers. They haven't had a major war in 8 centuries. The room absorbed that information. 14,000 casualties in 1,000 years. Earth had lost more than that in single battles during the World Wars. During the Unification Wars, humanity had lost millions. They don't understand war, General Dayon said quietly. Not real war. They've been at peace so long they've forgotten what violence actually looks like. That's our advantage, Jinwoo agreed. We remember. We've never forgotten. We teach it in schools. We study it in universities. We build monuments to it. War is part of who we are. Ambassador Minji looked uncomfortable. Are we really going to threaten them? Isn't that what started this? No, President Taiyang said. They threatened us. We're going to give them a chance to walk away. That's more than they gave us. He looked around the table at each person. All in favor of Director Jinwoo's plan? Every hand went up. Even Ambassador Minji's, though she hesitated first. Then it's decided, Taiyang said. Director Jinwoo, you have 12 hours to prepare the warning. Make it clear. Make it complete. Make sure they understand exactly what they're dealing with. Jinwoo stood and bowed slightly. Yes, Mr. President, they'll understand. As the meeting ended and people filed out, Yunwoo stayed behind. President Taiyang noticed and waited until they were alone. You think this will work? Tiang asked. Hyenwoo looked out the window at Earth below. Billions of people down there had no idea their world was being threatened. They were living their lives, going to work, raising children, falling in love. Normal, peaceful lives. I think the Valkyrie made a mistake, Hyunwoo said. They saw our civilian ships and our trade routes and our peaceful colonies. They thought that's all we were. They didn't look deeper. They didn't study our history. They didn't ask why a species that's been in space for only 50 years has colonies on 20 planets. They didn't wonder how we built all those ships so fast. And when they find out? Tang asked. Hyunwoo turned to face the president. Then they'll realize they're not dealing with some peaceful species that evolved on a gentle world. They're dealing with humans. We climbed to the top of Earth's food chain by being better predators than anything else on the planet. We survived ice ages and plagues and wars that nearly destroyed us. We didn't just reach for the stars, we weaponized them. He walked to the door, then paused. The Valkyrie are about to learn something important. Mr. President, they're about to learn that the most dangerous species in the galaxy isn't the one with the biggest guns. It's the one that never forgets how to use them. President Taiyang nodded slowly. Let's hope they're smart enough to listen. And if they're not? Hyunwoo asked. The president's face hardened. Then God help them, because we won't. Commander Sumi descended 40 levels below the surface of the moon. Each level required different security clearances. Each level held secrets that could change everything. People thought they knew about Earth's military. The elevator doors opened to reveal sublevel 40. It didn't appear on any official maps. The thousands of people who worked here didn't exist on paper. Their families thought they worked at civilian research stations. A young officer named Yuna stood waiting. This was her first day at sublevel 40. She had been recruited from the regular fleet after showing exceptional tactical skills. She had been told this place was important. She hadn't been told why. Welcome to the real Earth Defense Force, Sumi said, leading Yuna down a long corridor. Everything you learned in the academy was true, but it wasn't complete. They passed through 3 more security doors. Each one scanned their eyes, their fingerprints, and their DNA. Finally, they entered a massive control room. Hundreds of screens showed data streaming in from across the solar system. Officers worked at stations, monitoring everything. What is this place? Yuna asked, her voice barely a whisper. This is where we keep the truth, Sumi said. She pulled up a screen showing Earth's defensive satellites. The Galactic Union thinks we have 36 defense satellites? That's what we reported. That's what we let them see. How many do we actually have? Yuna studied the screen. Her eyes went wide. Hundreds of thousands. 347,000 to be exact, Sumi said. each one hidden using stealth technology we developed before we even met the Valkyrie. Each one armed with weapons that would make the Galactic Council ban us from their little club. She pulled up another screen. They think we have 50 warships. We actually have 712. They think our civilian shipyards build passenger transports. Those shipyards can convert to military production in 48 hours. Every civilian ship has military-grade armor and hidden weapon systems. Yuna felt dizzy. Everything she thought she knew was a lie. Earth wasn't a weak newcomer to the galactic community. Earth was hiding enough firepower to fight a war with anyone. Why hide all this? Yuna asked. Why pretend to be weak? Because weak species get left alone, Sumi said. Strong species get attacked first. We needed time to prepare. Time to learn about the galaxy. Time to understand who we might have to fight someday. She smiled grimly. Looks like Sunday is today. They walked to another section where Dr. Junho was waiting. He was the head of Earth's artificial intelligence research. The kind of research that was banned by galactic law. The Galactic Union doesn't allow AI, Junho explained to Yuna. They say it's too dangerous. They made it illegal 3,000 years ago after some war nobody talks about. He gestured to the screens around them. We've had AI for 40 years. Dozens of them. Each one smarter than anything the Valkyrie have ever seen. Isn't that dangerous? Yuna asked. What if they turn against us? Junho laughed, but it was a sad sound. You know what's dangerous? Being in a galaxy full of species that might want to kill you and not using every advantage you have. We built careful safeguards. We built them smart but loyal. And now they're going to help us survive. He pulled up a map of the Valkyrie fleet. Our AI already analyzed their formation. Found 17 critical weaknesses. Calculated firing solutions for every weapon system. Projected their response times. The Valkyrie have been in space for 10,000 years. Our AI has been active for 40. But our AI knows more about war than their entire military command. How is that possible? Yuna asked. Because we taught them human history, Junho said quietly. Sumi nodded and led Yuna to the final room. The archive. It was a massive database cooled by systems that kept it near absolute zero. The amount of data inside could fill 1 million libraries. This is every war humanity ever fought, Sumi said. Every battle, every tactic, every weapon, every strategy. 5,000 years of human conflict, all digitized and ready to study. The Valkyrie have been at peace for 8 centuries. Humans haven't had 8 consecutive years of peace in our entire recorded history. Yuna walked closer to the archive. Names scrolled past on screens. Wars she had learned about in school. Wars she had never heard of. Wars that killed millions. Wars that nearly destroyed civilization. We're not proud of this, Sumi said. But we're not ashamed either. This is who we are. This is how we survived. Every species in the galaxy evolved on gentle worlds with few predators. They developed slowly, peacefully. They learned cooperation before they learned violence. She turned to face Yuna directly. Humans are different. We evolved on a death world. Ice ages tried to kill us. Predators hunted us. Diseases nearly wiped us out. We learned to make weapons from rocks before we learned to write. We learned to fight before we learned to farm. And when there was nothing else to fight, we fought each other. That's terrible, Yuna whispered. That's survival, Sumi corrected. And it made us strong in ways the Valkyrie can't understand. They think war is something that happens sometimes. For us, peace is something that happens between wars. We've been preparing for conflict since the day we looked up at the stars. Captain Hannah entered the room. She was Earth's chief military strategist. She had studied every war in the archive. She could tell you the tactics used at Waterloo, the strategy of Midway, the logistics of the unification wars. She lived and breathed conflict. The Valkyrie fleet is maintaining formation at the heliopause, Hannah said. They're confident, relaxed. They think we're going to surrender. She pulled up a tactical display. I've identified their flagship, their supply lines, their communication relays. Their formation is terrible, full of gaps. They're not expecting a fight. Will we have to fight them? Una asked. Hannah looked at the young officer with eyes that had seen too much. That depends on whether they're smart enough to understand the warning we're about to send them. Director Jinwoo's preparing it now. As if summoned by his name, Director Jinwoo appeared on the main screen. He was broadcasting from Earth's Strategic Command, 3 levels above them. All stations, this is Jinwoo. Project Nightfall is now active. I need complete scans of every Valkyrie ship, internal and external. I need their crew locations, their weapon systems, their power signatures. I need everything, and I need it in 6 hours. Around the room, officers began working faster. Commands were sent to satellites and stealth probes. Sensors that the Valkyrie didn't know existed turned on and focused on the enemy fleet. What's Project Nightfall? Una asked. Sumi smiled, and for the first time it reached her eyes. It's our warning. We're going to show the Valkyrie exactly who they're threatening. We're going to prove that we know everything about them. And we're going to do it in a way that makes them understand that attacking Earth would be the last mistake they ever make. Will it work? Una asked. It will if they're smart, Sumi said. If they actually look at what we send them. If they take the time to understand what they're seeing. She paused. But if they're not smart, if they're too proud or too stupid to back down, then we go to war. And war is something we're very, very good at. Una looked around at the massive facility, at the screens showing weapons and ships and tactical data. She thought about the archive full of human wars. She thought about the AI systems calculating how to destroy the Valkyrie fleet in minutes. She had joined the Earth Defense Force, thinking she would protect humanity. Now she understood the truth. Humanity didn't need much protection. What humanity needed was to convince everyone else to leave them alone. I have one question, Una said. Ask, Sumi replied. If we're this strong, why didn't we just tell the galaxy from the beginning? Why hide it? Sumi was quiet for a moment. Because strong people get challenged. Weak people get ignored. We wanted to be ignored while we prepared. Now we're ready. And the Valkyrie are about to find out what happens when you threaten a species that never forgets how to fight. 47 hours had passed since the Valkyrie ultimatum. 25 hours remained. On the Valkyrie flagship, the command crew relaxed at their stations. Some played games on their personal devices. Others chatted about what they would do with their share of Earth's resources. Admiral Taiwan of the Valkyrie fleet sat in his command chair, confident. He had delivered ultimatums to 3 other species during his career. All had surrendered quickly. Humans would be no different. They were primitives who had barely mastered faster-than-light travel. This would be easy. An alert chimed on the communications station. Admiral, we're receiving a data transmission from Earth. Taiwan smiled. Their surrender, no doubt? Put it on screen. The smile died when he saw the size of the transmission. It was massive. Far too large for a simple surrender message. Sir, this isn't a text message, the communications officer said, her voice uncertain. It's detailed technical data. Thousands of files. Images, videos, calculations. It's going to take time to process all of this. Show me the beginning, Taiwan ordered. The main screen flickered. What appeared made Taiwan's blood run cold. It was a schematic. A perfect detailed schematic of his own flagship. Every deck. Every room. Every system. The image rotated slowly, showing internal structures that should have been impossible to scan through the ship's armor. More schematics appeared. Every ship in his fleet. All 300 vessels, mapped in perfect detail. The transmission showed crew locations. It showed which officers were in which quarters. It showed the exact positions of weapons, engines, and life support systems. How did they get this information? Taiwan whispered. The communications officer's hands shook as she worked. Sir, there's more. Much more. The next section appears to be tactical data. The screen changed. Now it showed firing solutions, calculated attack patterns, optimal strike coordinates for every Valkyrie ship, time estimates for disabling each vessel, response time predictions for every defensive system, and there, at the bottom of each calculation, estimated time for complete fleet neutralization, 11 minutes, 34 seconds. The command deck fell silent. Every officer stared at the screen. This wasn't a surrender. This was a threat. But it was a threat backed by impossible accuracy. "They're bluffing," Taiwan said, but his voice lacked conviction. "They're trying to scare us." So there's another section. Historical records. The screen changed again. What appeared next would haunt Taiwan for the rest of his life. Lieutenant Minho of Earth Intelligence had compiled humanity's war history into a presentation designed for alien minds. It started simple. Early human conflicts with primitive weapons. Thousands of casualties. The numbers were shocking to species that had known peace for centuries. Then the wars grew larger. The Valkyrie watched as human conflicts consumed continents. Cities burned. Millions died. The weapons became more terrible. Artillery that could destroy entire fortifications. Aircraft that rained explosives from the sky. Bombs that could flatten cities in seconds. The world wars appeared on screen. Casualty numbers counted in tens of millions. Images of devastation that made several Valkyrie officers feel ill. They watched humans fight with such intensity that they developed weapons capable of ending all life on their planet. "Stop," Taiwan ordered. "I don't want to see more." But the transmission continued automatically. The screen showed humanity's atomic weapons. Cities turned to vapor and ash. The mushroom clouds rising kilometers into the sky. The radiation that poisoned the land for generations. And then the comparison chart appeared on one side, Valkyrie military history for the past 1,000 years. 3 minor conflicts. 14,000 total casualties. 800 years since their last major war. On the other side, human military history for the past 1,000 years. 217 major wars. 394 million military casualties. Conflicts every single year of recorded history. The numbers were so different they seemed like a mistake. But they weren't. The Valkyrie had been at peace while humans perfected the art of destruction. Sub-Commander Gou, the fleet's tactical officer, spoke quietly. "Admiral, they're not showing us this to brag. They're showing us this to make us understand. We're not dealing with a normal species." The transmission's final section began. President Taeyang appeared on screen, sitting at a desk with Earth visible through a window behind him. He wore a simple suit. His face was calm. He looked like a grandfather about to tell a story, but his words were sharp as knives. "I am President Taeyang of Earth. You have threatened my world. You have given us an ultimatum. You have assumed we are weak because we are new to the galactic community. You were wrong." He gestured, and the schematics of the Valkyrie fleet appeared beside him. "We have shown you that we can see through your armor as if it doesn't exist. We mapped every molecule of your ships while you were still 3 light days away. Your impenetrable vessels have no secrets from us." The tactical data appeared. "We have shown you that we can calculate your defeat down to the second. Every weakness, every vulnerability, every mistake in your formation. We can destroy your entire fleet in less than 12 minutes. And we can do it without breaking a sweat." The historical images appeared. "We have shown you our history. We are not a peaceful species that learned war reluctantly. We are a species that learned war before we learned peace. We split the atom before we left our atmosphere. We built weapons that could end our world and pointed them at ourselves. And we survived anyway." Taeyang leaned forward and his voice became hard. "This is not a threat. This is a courtesy. We are giving you information so you can make an informed decision. You have 12 hours to withdraw beyond the heliopause. If you do, we will never speak of this again. You can tell your superiors whatever story you want. We don't care about your pride." He paused, letting that sink in. "But if you stay, if you attack, you will learn something that the galaxy has forgotten. You will learn what it means to fight a species that evolved on a death world. A species that climbed to the top of our food chain by being better predators than anything else on our planet. A species that never forgot how to kill. The president's face softened slightly. We don't want war. We don't want to hurt you. But we will protect our home. We will protect our people. And if that means showing you why humanity doesn't need the Galactic Union's protection, then we will do that. He stood up. Behind him, Earth rotated peacefully. You have 12 hours. Choose wisely. Choose to live. Because if you choose to fight, you won't live long enough to regret it. The transmission ended. The Valkyrie command deck sat in absolute silence. 300 ships, thousands of trained soldiers, the might of the Galactic Union's military arm. And they had just been told they would die in 11 minutes if they stayed. Admiral Taiwan looked around at his officers. Some looked scared. Some looked angry. All looked uncertain. Opinions? He asked quietly. Jiwoo spoke first. Sir, I ran the tactical data through our computers. Their calculations are perfect. If they attacked the way they outlined, we would lose. Quickly. They could be lying, another officer suggested. Making up numbers to scare us. The ship schematics were real, Jiwoo said. They knew things they shouldn't know. If they can scan us that thoroughly, their weapons data is probably real too. Cultural specialist Nari, who had been reviewing the historical records, spoke up. Her voice shook. Admiral, I've been studying their war history. It's not like anything we've ever seen. These humans fought themselves for thousands of years. They developed concepts of warfare that we don't even have words for. Total war. Scorched earth. Mutually assured destruction. They didn't just fight wars. They lived them. Are you saying we should retreat? Taiwan asked. Based on some scary pictures and big numbers? I'm saying we should think very carefully, Nari replied. The Galactic Council sent us here because they thought Earth was weak. But what if they were wrong? What if humanity has been hiding their strength this whole time? Taiwan stood and walked to the main viewport. Outside, stars burned in the darkness. Somewhere beyond them was Earth, small and blue and apparently very dangerous. Send a message to the Galactic Council, he ordered. Tell them we need to consult before proceeding. Tell them the situation is more complicated than we thought. And if they order us to attack anyway? Jiwoo asked. Taiwan turned back to face his crew. Then we attack. But we'll do it knowing exactly what we're facing. And we'll pray to every god we know that the humans were bluffing. But in his heart, Admiral Taiwan already knew the truth. The humans weren't bluffing. They were being honest. And honesty from a species like that was more terrifying than any threat. The Valkyrie War Council met in virtual space, their holographic forms gathered around a circular table. Representatives from the Galactic Council attended as observers. They had received Admiral Taiwan's message and wanted to understand why a simple intimidation mission had become complicated. Fleet Commander Taiwan presented the data package Earth had sent. He played President Taiyang's message. He showed the schematics, the tactical analysis, the historical records. The room watched in silence. When it finished, Council Representative Sunwoo spoke first. This must be some kind of trick. Humans have only been in space for 50 years. They can't possibly have this level of technology. I thought the same thing, Taiwan admitted. So I had our analysts verify everything we could. The ship schematics are accurate. They knew details about our vessels that our own crew members don't know. The scanning technology required for that level of detail shouldn't exist, but somehow it does. Sub-Commander Jiwoo brought up the tactical analysis. I've been running simulations for the past 6 hours. Every scenario ends the same way. If the humans attack using the strategies they outlined, we lose badly. Their calculations account for everything. Our response times, our weapon ranges, our defensive capabilities. It's like they've been studying us for years. Maybe they have, suggested cultural specialist Nari. We assumed they were newcomers learning about the galaxy. What if they were actually gathering intelligence? What if their friendly merchant ships and diplomatic vessels were watching us? The whole time? That thought made everyone uncomfortable. The humans had seemed so eager to please, so grateful for guidance from older galactic species. What if it had all been an act? The historical records, Counselor Sunwoo said slowly. Are those real? Nari nodded. I've been cross-referencing them with what we know about human culture. It all matches. The wars happened. The casualties are accurate. The weapons existed. She paused. Humans wrote books about their wars, thousands of books. They made movies about them. They teach them in schools. War isn't something shameful they try to forget. It's part of their identity. She pulled up images from human culture, monuments to soldiers, statues of warriors, museums dedicated to military history. Humans didn't hide their violent past. They memorialized it. Look at their language, Nari continued. They have 843 different words for war across their various languages. 843. We have 3. They have specific words for different types of war, different strategies, different weapons. Their languages evolved to describe conflict in detail. Tactical Officer Do-yeon had been quietly studying the data. Now he spoke up and his voice was troubled. I found something else. Humans don't just study military history, they analyze it. They write papers about what worked and what didn't. They simulate old battles to understand them better. They learn from every war they fought, every single one. He pulled up a human military academy's curriculum. This is what they teach their officers. History of warfare from ancient times to present. Tactics, strategy, logistics, psychology of combat. Ethics of war. They spend years learning how to fight before they ever put on a uniform. That seems excessive, Sunwoo said. Does it? Do-yeon asked. Or does it seem smart? Think about it. They prepare their leaders to understand conflict completely. Not just how to use weapons, but why wars start, how they progress, what makes them end. They've turned warfare into a science. Nari brought up more cultural data. Here's something that bothers me. Humans write poetry about war. They compose music about it. Some of their most famous artworks depict battles. They don't just fight, they make fighting part of their art and culture. She showed them a human poem called In Flanders Fields, then a piece of music called The Battle Hymn of the Republic, then paintings of ancient warriors. War is woven into everything they create. It's not separate from their culture. It is their culture. Fleet Commander Taiwan had been listening carefully. Now he spoke. I think we've been making a mistake. We thought humans were like us, that they wanted peace and cooperation. That violence was something they did when forced. He stood and walked around the virtual table. But they're not like us. They're fundamentally different. They evolved on a planet that tried to kill them constantly. Ice ages, predators, diseases, they survived by becoming the most dangerous thing on their world. And when there was nothing else to fight, they fought each other. So what are you saying? Sunwoo asked. I'm saying we're not dealing with a species that learned war. We're dealing with a species that invented it, that perfected it, that never forgot it. Taiwan gestured at the data floating around them. They didn't send us their military strength to brag. They sent us their capacity for violence. They're warning us that they know how to hurt us, and they will if we push them. The room fell quiet. Everyone was thinking about the implications. Finally, Counselor Sunwoo spoke. If we retreat, we look weak. The other Galactic Union members will question our authority. Some might even challenge the Council's power. If we attack, we might win, Taiwan said slowly. But we also might not. And even if we destroy the humans, what then? They'll be martyrs. Other species might see them as victims. The Council's reputation would be damaged anyway. There's another problem, Do-yeon said quietly. If we attack and lose, we prove that humans are a threat. The Council would have to respond. We'd end up in a full war with Earth, and based on what I've seen, I don't think we'd win that war. Nari pulled up a new analysis. I've been studying human expansion patterns. In 50 years, they've established colonies on 20 planets. That's faster than any species in recorded history. We assumed they were reckless, but what if they're efficient? What if every colony is actually a military outpost disguised as a civilian settlement? You think they've been preparing for war this whole time? Sun Wu asked. I think they've been preparing for survival, Nari corrected. And for humans, those might be the same thing. They don't trust the galaxy to protect them, so they protect themselves. And they do it very, very well. Admiral Taiwan made a decision. I'm ordering the fleet to begin preparations for withdrawal. You can't do that without council approval, Sun Wu protested. I can if I believe my ships are in immediate danger, Taiwan countered. And after seeing what humans are capable of, I believe exactly that. I'm not going to sacrifice thousands of Valkyrie lives to teach Earth a lesson they clearly don't need. He looked directly at Sun Wu's hologram. You can overrule me if you want. But then you'll be responsible for what happens next. You'll be the one who ordered us to attack a species that warned us exactly what would happen. You'll be the one who ignored every piece of evidence that said this was a bad idea. Sun Wu was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he sighed. How do we explain this to the other council members? Tell them the truth, Taiwan said. Tell them humanity is stronger than we thought. Tell them we need more time to assess the situation. Tell them whatever you want, but don't tell them to attack. And if they insist, Taiwan smiled grimly, then they can come here themselves and press the button. I won't do it. I won't start a war we might not be able to finish. The meeting ended, the holograms faded. Taiwan returned to his physical body on the flagship's bridge. His crew watched him carefully. Change of plans, he announced. We're withdrawing to a safe distance while the council decides what to do next. They're going to be angry, Jiwoo said. Let them be angry, Taiwan replied. Angry leaders make stupid decisions. I'd rather make a smart decision that makes them angry than a stupid decision that makes them happy. He looked at the tactical display showing Earth, small and distant. The humans gave us a choice, stay and die or leave and live. I choose to live, and I choose to let my crew live too. What about our pride? An officer asked. Our reputation? Taiwan turned to face his crew. Pride doesn't matter if you're dead. Reputation doesn't matter if your ship is debris. The humans taught themselves something we forgot. Sometimes the smartest thing to do is walk away. Sometimes survival is more important than victory. He sat back in his command chair. Begin withdrawal. Slowly, make it look like a tactical repositioning, not a retreat, and send a message to Earth. What should it say? The communications officer asked. Tae-Won thought carefully. Tell them we're pulling back to consult with our superiors. Tell them we received their warning. And tell them we hope they're still willing to talk when this is over. The message was sent. The fleet began to move. And Admiral Taiwan sat in his chair, thinking about the species that had threatened his ships with perfect honesty and given him a chance to escape. Maybe, he thought, that was the most terrifying thing about humans. They weren't cruel, they were practical. They would kill if necessary, but they preferred not to. That restraint, combined with their capacity for violence, made them more dangerous than any species the galaxy had ever seen. The Valkyrie were learning an important lesson. The strongest species wasn't the one that fought first. It was the one that gave you a chance to walk away before destroying you. At hour 68 of the original 72-hour ultimatum, the Valkyrie fleet began its withdrawal. They moved slowly, maintaining formation, trying to make it look like a planned maneuver rather than a retreat. But everyone watching knew the truth on Earth. In the sub-level 40 command center, officers watched the tactical displays with quiet satisfaction. Commander Sumi stood next to Director Jinwoo, both of them monitoring the alien ships as they pulled back from human space. They're leaving, Yuna said, her voice filled with relief. The warning worked. It worked because we made it impossible to ignore, Jinwoo replied. We showed them truth, not threats. We gave them information and let them decide. That's more than they gave us. Admiral Hyunwoo received the formal message from Fleet Commander Taiwan. It was carefully worded, full of diplomatic language about consulting with superiors and reassessing the situation. But underneath the fancy words, the meaning was clear. The Valkyrie were backing down. "Send a reply," Youngwoo ordered. "Keep it short. Acknowledge their withdrawal. Wish them safe travels. Don't gloat. Don't threaten. Just be professional. Why not gloat?" An officer asked. "We won. Because we want this to be over," Hyunwoo said. "If we humiliate them, they'll have to come back to save face. If we let them retreat gracefully, maybe they'll stay gone." The message was sent. The Valkyrie fleet continued its withdrawal. Within 12 hours, they had crossed beyond the heliopause and jumped to faster-than-light speed. They were gone, but the crisis wasn't over. Not yet. 2 days later, the Galactic Union Council convened an emergency session. 43 member species sent representatives. The humans hadn't been invited, but Ambassador Minji showed up anyway. Accompanied by Commander Sumi and Dr. Jingho, the chamber was massive, designed to hold representatives from hundreds of worlds. Each species had their own section with environmental controls suited to their biology. The humans sat in a section meant for visiting observers. Watching as the council debated their fate, Counselor Sunwoo spoke first. "The human situation requires immediate action. They possess technology beyond what they reported. They have hidden military strength. They threatened a Galactic Union fleet. This cannot be tolerated." Other representatives agreed. Some called for sanctions. Some wanted humanity's faster-than-light technology revoked. A few extreme voices suggested military action. A fleet large enough that Earth couldn't possibly resist. Ambassador Minji listened to it all with a calm expression. She had expected this. Humanity had revealed their hand, and now the galaxy had to decide how to respond. Finally, the council turned to her. "Does Earth wish to address these accusations?" Sunwoo asked. Minji stood. She was a small woman, older, with gray hair and gentle eyes. She looked like someone's grandmother. But her voice carried clearly through the chamber. "Everything Counselor Sunwoo said is true," she began. "We did hide our military strength. We did develop technology beyond what we reported. And yes, we did threaten the Valkyrie fleet when they gave us an ultimatum to surrender or die." The chamber erupted in angry voices. Minji waited for them to quiet down. "But let me tell you why," she continued. "We hid our strength because we were afraid. We met the galaxy and saw species that had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Species with technology and knowledge we couldn't match. We were children stumbling into a room full of adults." She activated a display showing Earth from space. "So we did what humans always do when we're afraid. We prepared. We built defenses. We created weapons. We got ready for the day someone might threaten us. And we were right to do that because the Valkyrie proved that the galaxy isn't as peaceful as you claim." "The Valkyrie had every right to enforce galactic law," Sunwoo protested. "Did they?" Minji asked. "What law did we break? We expanded into unclaimed space. We built colonies on empty worlds. We traded fairly with everyone we met. But the Valkyrie decided we were growing too fast. They decided we needed to be controlled. So they gave us an ultimatum: submit or die." She looked around the chamber. "If someone threatened your world like that, how would you respond? Would you surrender? Would you let aliens come to your home and tell you how to live? Or would you fight back?" The chamber was quieter now. Some representatives looked uncomfortable. "We gave the Valkyrie something they didn't give us," Minji said. "A choice. We could have attacked without warning. We could have destroyed their fleet in the 11 minutes and 34 seconds our computers calculated it would take. But we didn't. We sent them information. We showed them what they were facing. We gave them time to think and a chance to leave." She paused. "They left. Because they understood that fighting us would cost more than they were willing to pay. That's not a threat. That's just reality." Minji pulled up a new display. It showed human colonies, trade routes, cultural achievements. "You're all trying to decide what to do about the human problem. But you're asking the wrong question. The question isn't what to do about us. It's what kind of relationship you want with us. She activated another screen showing human disaster response operations. Footage of human doctors working in alien hospitals. Human engineers helping to rebuild colonies damaged by natural disasters. Human teachers sharing knowledge freely. "We're not monsters," Minji said quietly. "Yes, we're good at war. Yes, we're dangerous when threatened. But we're also good at helping. At building. At creating. We've sent medical teams to 15 different worlds. We've shared our agricultural technology with species facing food shortages. We've done all this while hiding our military strength because we wanted to be good neighbors." She looked directly at Sunwoo. "You can sanction us if you want. You can try to limit us. You can even try to fight us. But none of that will change what we are. We're humans. We survive. We adapt. And we don't give up. So what do you want?" Sunwoo asked. "We want to be left alone to grow," Minji said simply. "Give us time to develop on our own terms. Don't threaten us. Don't try to control us. And in return, we'll be the best allies you could hope for. Or leave us alone and we'll stay out of your way. Either option works for us." The council deliberated for 3 days. The vote was close, but eventually they made a decision. Earth would be granted autonomous development status. For 100 standard years, no species could interfere with human expansion. After that time, humanity could apply for full membership in the Galactic Union. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Ambassador Minji returned to Earth to celebrations. President Taiyang held a press conference announcing that the crisis had passed. But he was careful with his words. He didn't talk about threats or victories. He talked about mutual understanding and peaceful coexistence. Behind the scenes, things were different. In sub-level 40, Commander Sumi addressed her team. The Valkyrie backed down, but others might not. "We keep building. We keep preparing. We keep getting stronger." Admiral Yunwoo met with his fleet commanders. "Maintain current readiness levels. The galaxy knows about us now. Some will want to be friends. Others will want to test us. We need to be ready for both." Dr. Junho continued his AI research. Captain Hannah continued studying warfare. The archive kept growing with new tactical data. Earth's hidden satellite network continued to expand. On the surface, humanity appeared to relax. They returned to normal life. But underneath, they remained vigilant, ready, prepared. 6 months later, several species quietly approached Earth with trade proposals. They claimed it was about economic opportunities, but everyone knew the truth. They wanted to be on humanity's good side, just in case. A year later, a small colony on the edge of Union space was attacked by pirates. Their distress call reached Earth. Admiral Yunwoo deployed a single frigate. It arrived in 3 days and eliminated the pirate threat in 40 minutes. The colonists were grateful. Word spread that Earth protected its neighbors. 2 years later, a species facing civil war asked Earth for advice on peace negotiations. Ambassador Minji traveled to their world and helped broker a settlement. More word spread. Humans could fight, but they could also help. The galaxy was learning to see humanity as something more complex than just dangerous or peaceful. They were both. And that made them unique. 5 years after the Valkyrie crisis, Admiral Yunwoo stood on the bridge of Earth's newest warship, the EDS Determination. It was twice as large as anything the Valkyrie had, with technology that made their fleet look ancient. Beside him stood Captain Yuna. Now promoted from her position at sub-level 40, she had learned quickly and proven herself capable. She would make a fine admiral someday. "Do you think they'll ever trust us?" Yuna asked, looking at the stars. "Some will, some won't," Hamu replied. "But trust isn't what matters. Respect matters. The galaxy respects us now. They know what we can do. They know we'll defend ourselves." "That's enough, but we wanted peace," Yuna said. "We have peace," Hamu corrected. "Peace doesn't mean everyone likes you. It means everyone knows better than to attack you." He smiled slightly. "The Valkyrie gave us a gift. They proved that hiding our strength was smart. Now everyone knows and nobody wants to test us. On Earth, President Tiang was writing his memoirs. He included a chapter about the Valkyrie crisis. His final words in that chapter were simple. We gave them a warning. Just one. We showed them who we were and what we could do.